Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
And I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob and I are here today to talk about an exciting new ski, at least in my opinion, the 2026 Rossignol Sender Free 100. We've got two pairs of them up here. People have known about them for a while. You can buy them. You've been able to buy them for like a couple of months now, I think.
You could buy this pair.
You could buy literally that pair. Yep. You could probably even put a note in your order that says, I specifically want the pair that Bob pointed at.
And we'll make it happen.
Yep. This isn't the first time that we've talked about them. We did just a short little video from Pico where we kind of went back and forth between this ski and the new Dynastar M Free 100. Since then, not only do I now own a pair, but I've skied it like a lot of different places and in a lot of different snow conditions.
I think it's safe to say that you've put this through more paces prior to a review than
anything else this year?
Anything else.
This year?
This year for sure.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like, last year I spent a lot of time on like Reckoner 102, kind of had a similar like journey with Playmakers, Unleashed, stuff like that. And yeah, like it does, like inevitably each season there happens to be a ski that really speaks to me, and luckily I end up getting to spend a lot of time on it. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but it's really hard for me to think of anything that I could put above this in regards to like my favorite ski.
Right.
And as we go through this, we can talk more and more about all these things, but that is not to say, one, that it would be your favorite ski. We have established that it is not your favorite
not my
ski.
Favorite.
And that also doesn't mean that it's my favorite ski for one particular application or another. It's just, it's kind of what I said to you earlier today is if I were to own one pair of skis, it'd be really hard for me to choose something other than this.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
Yeah, and we've been talking about 100mm twin tips for a long time, and
great.
Like, it's funny because we both kind of agree that that's the place that we like to be.
Yeah.
Yet there's still enough differences between them to make this one fit you a lot better than it fits me.
Yeah, and then even like the M Free 100 from Dynastar is like on paper they're very similar.
Yeah.
And Matt Stromecki, who's in a lot of our videos, he likes that one more.
Right.
So just kind of like a great example that like, yes, we can stand up here and talk about the ski and we can discuss its characteristics in sort of an objective way, but ultimately ski performance is pretty darn subjective, and it's just important to know those things, and that's why Bob and I spend so much time talking about all this stuff.
Right.
So hopefully we can get enough information across to you that you can make informed decisions about what's going to be best for you.
Yeah.
Couple skis up here that we brought. The links are funny.
They're comically small.
Look at this little guy. So we brought a Black Ops 98. We also brought a Sender Free 110. I think it's safe to say that this Sender Free 100 is kind of inspired or sort of derived from sort of both of those skis.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some differences too. I do think this ski is quite similar to the Sender Free 110 in a lot of ways, but it's not exactly the same. And with that said, Bob, do you want to talk a little bit about construction?
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, nor is it the same difference as what we talked about with the Revolt 101 from Vocal being a legit just pared down 114. Like, these are different.
Yeah.
And different enough to have a different conversation about it.
Yeah.
So for better or for worse, don't think of the Sender Free 100 as simply a narrower 110, and that does start with construction. Both of them do have a full poplar wood core though, and I think to a lot of skiers' chagrin, this does not have the Titanal beam underfoot that the 110 has. And I think that that's an important conversation to have and an important consideration as well. I kind of came to the conclusion that this ski doesn't need the metal underfoot. It'd be interesting to get your take on that when we talk about performance, but due to the narrower width of the ski, the more park-focused orientation of it, and a few other kind of variables, it just doesn't need a plate of metal underfoot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thought process on it. And then another construction difference is the use of their carbon alloy matrix. And we're getting this, you got it from Jake, Jake told me, or Jake told you, you told me, and I'm telling you. So
Yeah.
correct me if I get
This
this
is
one
how
wrong.
it was described to me from Rossignol. I'm 99% sure
Okay.
that I get all of this, that I remembered it correctly.
Okay. Sender Free 100 has carbon alloy matrix. It has 2 basalt stringers per 1 carbon stringer below the core.
Sender Free 100.
Yes.
Correct.
Versus Sender Free 110, which has a 1-to-1 carbon to basalt ratio on top of the core.
That is how it was described to me.
Okay.
Yes. And like, yeah, it was an interesting conversation. We were skiing around. I think this was at Deer Valley, and like I wasn't 100% sure what was going inside this ski yet. The thing that I kept noticing is like on the 110, you can see that cross hatching carbon alloy matrix or whatever you want to call it, like underneath the top sheet. It's very, very obvious. And then when I saw these, I was like, man, why'd they do that? Like why'd they take it out? And they didn't really take it out. They just kind of shifted its location and tweaked the combination of materials just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like happy and reassured, because my instinct when I first saw this ski was like, man, you guys could have just done the same exact thing as over there.
Right.
And then kind of talking to Jake, who's someone that I fully trust when it comes to ski design and performance, it made a lot of sense. And now that I've skied it so much, like, yeah, any like concerns are just completely gone.
Yeah, and I think that from how it relates to snow is having those materials closer to the snow adds energy.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big part of this discussion moving forward, is how this Sender Free 110 is going to feel more energetic and more poppy than the 110 over here or that Black Ops 98. So that's kind of a way that they're able to manipulate the snow feel through construction without totally altering materials and totally making a different ski.
Yeah.
Air tip still exists in here, and we were just talking about that Black Ops, how that has rubber tips and this has air tips. So if you're looking for differences there, that's another one. Certainly a lighter swing weight, increased energy, and that's going to make it more poppy and more peppy.
Yeah.
But full sidewall, still a very sturdy ski throughout, and we're just over 2,000 grams on this thing, just under. Here, we'll get it better.
1998.
1998.
Great year.
We've seen anything from 2,000 to 2,040 grams for this ski with the variances. So hovering right around 2,000 in the 184.
Which is right around the same as the Black Ops 98 in a 182. Do you want to save that for like the end? We can talk about some comparisons and talk about this one specifically, because I think that's important. You want to look at flex real quick? You can flex a flat one. I'll flex mine. They're not soft, nor are they stiff.
Nope, it's even.
Yeah.
And the symmetry of the ski is one of its kind of primary components.
Yeah. Speaking of symmetry, Bob, I made some really diligent notes and then I forgot them. So hold on.
Okay.
All right. So sometimes I feel like we can speak about these things as generalities, but for a ski like this, I think it's important. This is also our shift into talking about shape. So obviously it's 100 underfoot. It's a twin tip. We'll look at some of that stuff in a little bit. There are 3 kind of marked mount points on them. 0, +2, -2. This is a fun game. What would be your guess as what the 0 line is in relation to true center?
In relation to true, I won't even look. It is -2.5.
That's a great guess. It's -3.5.
Okay.
So the kind of standard recommended mount point is only 3.5 centimeters back from true center.
pretty central.
That is, yeah, absolutely. And that's like 100% a nod to its like freestyle intentions and that influence in its design. Now, you have +2 option, you have -2 option. Can you guess where mine are?
Yours are +2 at -1.5 from center.
Incorrect. Mine are +1 from 0, so I'm 1.5 centimeters back from true center.
Okay.
Love the mount point
Yep.
for me. Again, not to say that that's where you should mount your Sender Free 100s, but sure seems to work pretty darn well. Now, I also think this stuff is interesting. Tip rocker, camber underfoot, tail rocker. I am going to hold up the ski and show this thing in a little bit. There's 34.5 centimeters of tip rocker and 32.5 centimeters of tail rocker.
Pretty even.
Yep, which is like, again, like, you know, I've talked about this stuff a lot over the years, is you don't ever want to be forward from the center of camber. So the fact that the +2 line is -1.5 back from true center makes a lot of sense given the difference in tip and tail rocker. Strongly would recommend do not go forward of +2.
If you do, you will be in front of the center, the height of camber.
Correct. So that's kind of the, you know, that's the gist of it. There's a 20-meter turn radius, and then we'll look at side cut dimensions in a second here too. But nice, like, smooth tip rocker. Like, it's very gradual. Like, everything about this ski is like kind of very middle of the road, which always sounds boring, but in a lot of skis is really good. Mine are dirty and probably a little wet still from this morning because we've been skiing a lot of spring snow. So tip rocker, tail rocker, you know, visually, by the naked eye, it's about the same. There is early taper, but there's not much of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of just like smooth, catch free through this section. And then we've been talking a lot about camber, like Matt was talking about camber on the M Free 100 this morning, and there's a lot in this one too. Maybe not quite as much height.
Not as much height, but
there's still a lot.
Yeah, and when I squeeze it, like on my fresh ski, it's pretty stiff. Like you do have to push pretty hard, so it's very active. Yeah,
and then those side cut dimensions that I alluded to, 131, 100, 123. So it's more symmetrical in its rocker camber profile than it is in its side cut dimensions, which I think is a great thing and works really well for a lot of skis. And boy, do mine need some wax.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes this time of year. You just kind of
that's
you
like
let it ride.
Coarse snow. It kind of just rips the wax out of your skis.
Dirty snow.
So I think we covered everything for construction and shape. I thought we could mostly do this as a pseudo Q&A session.
Yep.
You've skied them too, so I'm sure you have your own thoughts. We've got some footage of Matt, but most of the skiing that you'll see in this is me.
Yeah.
Apologies or
no,
or whichever.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. So, you want to start with on trail? Doesn't really seem like necessarily the focus of this ski, but I think it's a great place, a great jump off point for a conversation.
Yeah. And I'll kind of jump in and give my feedback first, and then I'll ask you, because this is where I found this to be just kind of jump off the snow to me as being a very much more of a park oriented ski than I thought it was going to be. So I was kind of thinking it was going to be a Black Ops 98 kind of direct replacement.
It is not.
And then I'm like, nope, this thing feels like a center-mounted park ski to me, right off the bat.
Yep.
And for me on trail, that's a little bit of a challenge just because I'm way over the shovels of a ski. So yeah, I could have moved the mount point back -2 and had a better experience. But I also really enjoy skiing the ski as it's intended to ski by the manufacturers. I think that's an important baseline to get before you go about moving everything. So when you have less shovel, you have more tail. And really, I felt this thing just come right around.
Yeah.
Not a directional feeling ski, not even as much as the M Free 100 or another 100 we've talked about a lot this year, the QST 100.
I was going to bring that up talking about mount point. That's kind of like almost the antithesis. If we're staying within the world of 100 millimeter twin tips. I think it's fair to call the QST 100 a twin tip now.
Yeah.
That ski is like very far towards the directional side, where this ski is more towards the, freestyle, balanced, symmetrical side.
Yeah. So like not my style
Yeah.
on a groomer, but
Right.
but it's your style.
And while we're on the topic, like I would venture a guess that if you had the choice between a QST 100 and this, you would take a QST 100
I would.
in a second.
Yep.
And like it makes sense, and that's the benefit of having these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, this thing on a groomer is sweet. I will say the first time that I skied it was down at Pico, and I was on the 178, and I do remember on that ski feeling a little nervous on a groomer, and then I chose the 184 for my own ski. Very, very glad I did. I kind of knew it was the right choice, having already skied that 178 and seeing kind of some other people on the 184. Maybe most notably Parker White, who's been ripping on this thing. Probably some natural talent with Parker White too,
Yeah,
but the ski helps
good
for
skier.
sure. Having this 184, I was like thoroughly impressed on a groomer, especially when like my skis were new and the edges were still sharp and I
Yeah.
hadn't slid a bunch of rails on them. I thought that they were really, really fun. I think there's some footage of like skiing nosedive on like a really good groomer day, and nosedive is pretty steep, and that's a good trail to test the carving capabilities of a ski, because if it doesn't have the necessary torsional stiffness, it is going to wash out on certain sections of that trail.
Yeah.
And this thing was super, super fun. And then, at my weight and my skiing style, I would say that like it would be unfair for me to say that like this compares to skis with metal. Like it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Even
Like,
even the beam,
Yeah.
compared to like even within Rossignol, a Center Sole 102,
yeah.
a much different carving ski.
Yeah, there's
even
more
with
like
that metal.
Yeah, totally. There's more, way more vibration damping in a lot of those skis, but at my weight, like, I don't really need it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, this ski just turns into a lot of fun, but it is interesting because when you put it on your feet, it feels pretty light. Like, it feels lighter than 2,000 grams to me, and I think a lot of it's, like, that swing weight from the air tips.
Yeah.
And then it has, like, a little bit of a funny sound. It
Yeah.
kind of sounds like pingy and hollow. So your instincts when you first ski it are like, well, I'm not going to push this very hard because it's going to fold. And it doesn't do that. So you can ski it, at least for me, again, at my size, I can ski it as aggressively as I really would ever want to. Like when we are out testing directional skis with metal, I'll ski faster and
Right.
more aggressively than I do free skiing on this, but I don't not a big part of me like wants to do that on a day-to-day basis. So then for me, I get to benefit more from all the energy.
Yeah.
Because this thing is packed full of energy. So both the way that it like kind of snaps you out of a carving turn, and the way that you can pop off the tails, do little 180s, even if you're making like shorter turns on the side of the trail, like the kind of like the snap back out of the tail and like the whole flex pattern just it's just a pleasure to ski on a groomer.
Yeah.
Which like it's super fun. And it reminds me a lot of, I guess like the one that I keep coming back to in my head, maybe because it's pink, is the Playmaker 101. But this ski is a little stiffer. So it's like, a give or take, where this you can trust it a little more, you can ski it harder, you can drive like the shovel into a turn and ski with like a little bit more normal
Like,
ski
yeah.
technique.
Yeah, more like intent and purpose.
Yeah. Where a Playmaker, it's a little softer, so then it goes the other side, and you benefit a little bit more from like buttering and smearing and stuff like that. But this
You don't have to feather
no,
this ski.
not at all. But you can
Yeah.
if you want to, and I think like having kind of both sides of that is really fun.
Yeah.
Anything else groomer related? Skis switch really well. That feels a
Yeah.
little bit more like a park conversation, but
Not really. I mean, again, like I had trouble with those shorter swing turns loading the energy. I kept coming around
Well, it's very round.
too much
And
than
it likes,
I'm used to.
It likes making that
Yeah.
round turn, and I think that's also like aligns with our skiing styles a little more.
Yeah,
like even
I'm more Z and you're more S.
yeah, or even in like bumps, you're like
Yeah.
a little straighter, and I'm a little rounder.
Yeah,
So yeah, it kind of just makes sense.
yeah.
What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to talk about
Yeah,
off
I mean,
piste?
fortunately, we've had a wonderful winter here with a lot of fresh snow, so we've gotten to take these things
Yeah,
in the woods, through the bumps.
Yeah, you should-
know, crud, powder.
you should form your questions snow condition dependent, probably,
Right.
because I've skied it like
In everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start with the trees, because we got a lot of good trees here.
Yep.
So anything up to, did you find a limit? You know, we've had, I don't know, 6, 8, 10-inch days.
For depth,
For depth.
sure. Yeah. It doesn't feel like a Sender Free 110.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm skiing in deeper, soft snow, I would take the 110 in a heartbeat. But it's still really good. Like I had a day coaching, and I was on this, and we had like, I would say 8 to 10 inches of like kind of dense, heavy snow. And I was very impressed with how well this ski performed.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had gotten to know it really well. It doesn't have like float like a wider ski, like the
Yeah.
Sender Free
It
110.
has a lot of camber.
It has a lot of camber,
Yeah.
and it's narrower, so it will sink a little more. But what we were looking at before, and like the kind of smooth, slight early taper, and the kind of gradual tip rocker and tail rocker, it doesn't ever feel catchy, which is, I would say, impressive to me because there's like a lot of ski behind you.
Yeah.
You know, it never felt like too cumbersome to me, and it's very, very flickable. So if you do get in trouble, it's really easy to get out of trouble.
Specific question: did you ever make it into the gully riverbed left to Tyro?
Yeah, I think there's actually like footage.
Yeah, I was
of
going to
it.
say there's got to be footage of that, either POV or what. But
Yeah,
that's where I feel like having too much tail might be an
because
issue.
it's annoying.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're using more of a bowled out terrain
Yeah,
as
I would
opposed to wide open.
I would say that there's just enough tail rocker, and the ski is soft enough in its flex pattern that it doesn't. You still have to pay attention.
Yeah,
You know, there's still stuff behind you, but it's not bad at all. I mean, I've skied a lot of skis in this range that would be far more challenging in that
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, not bad at all.
and you did ski this in Utah. You had Snowbird and Deer Valley.
Yeah, I don't think
Not-
the Deer Valley footage counts as off piste. So
The Snowbird looked off piste,
It-
but not too soft.
no, and like that's another thing where similar to groomers, like right off the bat, like
You're like, uh-oh.
you do that, and then you look at the snow conditions, and you're like, I'm skiing like firm, windy snowbird today.
Right, steep.
I don't know about that. And it's like, I don't know. It does really, really well. You can throw it sideways on firm snow, and it still feels like very smooth
Yeah.
and very, very capable. So yeah, we could have used a lot more snow on that day, and conditions could have been a lot better, but it was still really fun. I haven't spent much time at Snowbird. We usually keep driving up the road and go to Alta. But I had a great time, and we did get, there was limited terrain opening, but we did do a run off the top, which, you know, it's not a no fall zone. You could fall and be fine. But it's still fun to like ski terrain like that,
It's
kind of with that
technical.
mindset
Yeah.
too. Yeah, you're like on a big mountain and
Yeah.
it's steep, and like if you fall, you're gonna slide a ways. So I did find that I was able to trust it really well
Yeah.
in those situations. And again, like the flickability, the ability to throw it sideways, combined with enough stoutness that I thought it did quite well.
Nice.
Yeah. Bumps.
You've been skiing a lot of bumps lately. Your skills have improved, I will say.
Been trying my best.
I mean, it's practice, you know, and Matt was saying the same thing. He's like, I haven't skied this many bumps in all his life. So
totally.
yeah, you just got to do it.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, we've had a lot of good spring bumps lately, and my general philosophy is everything works well in spring bumps.
Well,
but
that's a good point. And I was gonna say, like, I don't know that I would want to ski this in firm moguls.
yeah,
It would do fine, but it would get deflected a little bit, and then like, I mean, I don't like skiing firm moguls anyways, so
yeah,
it doesn't really matter what I'm skiing on because I'm probably gonna go around them.
Yeah.
But you know, in the spring moguls, it was a blast, and like I know you and I have like slightly different preferences for skis, and like I've heard you talk about skis with tail rocker in the bumps and not really liking them because there's not like it's not like supporting you.
yeah. I like to push down the backside and feel resistance,
Yeah, I don't
as
do
opposed to something like this, which will
Yeah,
follow the contour of the backside of the mogul, and you won't feel it as much.
yeah, and you prefer the feedback.
I prefer the feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm skiing moguls, I feel like I benefit more from easy pivoting, where this ski pivots really easily.
Yeah, that's 100% fair. And other
Yeah.
people really like, narrow, like a Rossignol, like Hero Elite multi-turn,
In the bumps.
In the bumps,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's very preference oriented.
Yeah, but I thought it was great. I had a blast on it. Makes me feel like a bump skier.
Yeah,
And it's pink, it's really got like bump vibes.
yeah,
Kinda.
yeah. No, it's festive.
Yeah, totally. What else did we cover? Cover everything for
Everything but park. And
off-piste.
Yeah.
That was a
I think so. Crud and chop. I mean, it kind of seems like it does fine.
It does
doesn't
fine.
excel.
Like this does better.
Yeah,
And we can
yeah,
talk
and
about
this
that.
does
And
better.
that does better too. Like if you're trying to ski super fast through choppy, bumpy snow, there are things that are going to be better than it, but it's not bad. There's a lot of things out there that are worse than it. Like a Playmaker 101. Like we've used that as an example a couple times now. That would get floppier, where this at least stays like a little bit more composed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, middle for that stuff is what I've kind of found, and
Yeah.
I had it in some spring snow and kind of felt that same way. I'm like,
Yeah.
it does fine. It doesn't excite me in
Yeah.
crud, chop, and spring snow. But
Yeah, and this is like, just so everybody knows, this is an interesting video for me because I truly feel like we were joking about it before. Like, I could talk about the ski for 2 hours.
yeah,
And like, honestly, when I was laying out skiing footage to prep for this, I have almost 2 hours of skiing footage. It's not 2 hours of, honestly, there's actually probably more like 4 hours of skiing footage because I filmed like all the time at Deer Valley and Snowbird. A lot of that's not making it into this
Yeah.
video because it was gray and not great. But if you have like any questions about this ski in like literally any situation aside from like touring, please don't hesitate to leave a question because I'm happy to talk about it in any format that would be helpful.
yeah. Well, how about the park? Based on the bases of your skis, you've hit some rails.
Yeah.
I've seen you go off some jumps.
Yeah.
You have a pivot on there.
Yep. Love
So-
this new pivot.
Is this, when you're talking about your favorite skis, you had mentioned Reckoner 102 kind of being more preferable for park only,
Yeah, and Playmaker I would say as
and
well.
Playmaker as well.
Yeah.
But this is up there.
It's really good. Yeah, and I'm really glad that you formed the question that way, because like the older I get, I'm 39 now. I'm gonna spend a good amount of my time not in the park.
Yeah.
And the more and more I ski outside of the park by choice, the more I want a lot of the performance characteristics that this ski has. And then I still want to be able to take it into the park, and it's great in the park. I probably have more park days on this ski this season than anything else that I can think of. But yeah.
I mean, it's not as buttery as the Reckoner. It's not as light and just spinny as a Playmaker.
Yeah,
But
and then
it's a balance.
the other thing that this is an experience I had very recently. So I had been skiing this basically whenever I could. If we weren't filming something for work, chances are I was going to take this. So That included a lot of skiing park. I just got that Revolt 96 with the new M-Works Jester on it. And like that Revolt 96 is designed as more of a park ski. You know, it doesn't
True
have
center,
the free ride capabilities. It's got a true center mount point. And there definitely was a moment, like the first day I skied that in the park after coming off this, I was like, oh, I kind of forgot what a real park ski feels like. So does this feel like a, you know, slope style, competition style park ski? No. But are there going to be a ton of people like myself, or not to say that I am like him in any sense, but like Parker White, who, you know, he's aging and skis outside of the park a lot, and I'm sure still wants something that's really good in the park. Like this works really well for that. Again, it skis lighter than its weight on paper. Like this, a 184 for me in the park is a lot of ski. Like that, the Reckoner 102, I skied in 177 in the park. I'm like, this is great. So 184 is kind of a lot, and I think it's a testament to the ski, just that I can do it and enjoy it as much as I do. I really got to tune these.
I'm just noticing how nice and clean my new edges are.
I've got like hanging edges everywhere underfoot from rails.
Time to take care of your stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, these are gonna get a nice treatment going into the summer. Maybe some like storage wax on them and.
Wow. Not just garage corner.
No, I really like them. They're awesome. So yeah, I mean they're super fun in the park. I would say, you know, if anything, like they're kind of even more fun, like skiing playfully and with a freestyle mindset, kind of outside of the park or adjacent to the park.
Right.
Like, you know, popping off things, skiing switch for a bit, doing little switch 180s. Stuff like that. They're so fun because they're like springboards.
Yeah, and I think that's where this 110 excelled too for a lot of people, was in the natural environments.
Yeah,
and being creative in those situations.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of people like Jonah Williams, Rossignol athlete, skis park on that Sender Free 110, and like a lot of other people do too. And I think most of those people will shift to this for their park ski of choice.
Yeah.
Black Ops 98, we can start with that, and then if you have any, we've already talked about Reckoners and Playmakers and other stuff, but if there's other skis that we throw in there.
We had just yesterday released a behind-the-scenes look at an Armada ARV 100 or 106. How about the 100?
It's like a pretty close comparison, I think. Like the things that they achieve, I would say that ski, this feels more precise. Like some of its like rebound and energy also comes along with some good precision, and like the way that it initiates from right here feels very precise. Like it's a kind of a more technical ski. ARV probably feels a little bit more park oriented, and also doesn't have like the torsional stiffness of this ski.
Yeah, I felt like that ARV was swervier.
Much swervier. Yeah. This is only swervy when you tell it to be swervy.
Yeah. It's
not swervy by nature. A lot of people have been wondering about this.
Like, why do they have two 100mm twin tips in their catalog?
I mean, don't make me answer that question.
I know, but I'm just thinking of other companies, you know, that does anyone else do that?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes away.
Like Faction, I'm just sorry to jump on that, but like Faction has a Studio and a Prodigy of similar widths. Nordica's doing Unleashed 98 and
TI and
CA. So there's precedent for it, but it's interesting that a company like Rossignol would come out and do that.
Yeah. To put it simply, this feels more directional, more like an all-mountain ski, more like a freeride ski. It skis heavier, it skis damper, and it skis more powerfully.
Yeah.
This feels a lot more agile, a lot more energetic. It skis lighter, even though their weight on paper is about the same. I think this is far better in the park. I don't really know why. I think it's the swing weight. For me, it just has that feel. This is something that I would take if I wanted to ski faster. Like when we were talking about skiing fast through choppy, bumpy snow.
Yep.
this can get bounced around. This does not get bounced around at all. But then you fight kind of the heavier feel sometimes.
Yeah, and that's got a flatter profile overall as well.
Yeah.
So not as much camber or pop built in.
Yeah.
This is a lot more electric.
It sure is electric.
Yeah.
Color,
Yeah.
performance, yeah, just everything. I'm trying to think if there are other like good comparison skis that we've missed.
Studio 2, the Faction.
Yeah,
I
great.
feel
I
like
mean,
that
that's
kinda has
a good
that-
one. I skied that one a ton this year too. That one's stiffer.
Yeah.
That's the big thing there. So again, they kind of like accomplish similar things like the ARV, but the Studio definitely feels stiffer. So it's not as easy going. You know, like when you were talking about like the Tyro Woods or like tight trees or anything like that, the Studio is harder to ski
Yeah.
because there's just as much ski behind you, but it's stiffer and pressing down more, where this is more willing to be wiggly and smeary.
Would you say that Black Ops is to Prodigy as Sender Free is to Studio within those two lines?
Sure, but that's oversimplifying it slightly.
Yeah.
Because, like, if anything, I think that the Studio is the more powerful ski compared to Prodigy.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite here, but, like, thematically,
Yeah.
yes, what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of them. It's not universal appeal.
Yeah, I think anyone who likes 90% of this conversation and isn't sold on that last 10%, if you end up getting it,
You're going to be happy.
you're going to be happy. But I'd
Yeah.
also say you're probably a -2 mount point skier.
Yeah.
If you're not 100% sold, but you end up with it, just if things shake out that way and you end up with it,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be scared of a -2.
No, I wouldn't be scared of a -2 at all. I think it would ski great there. Because I skied it at like the 0 line a lot
Yeah.
before I like owned this one.
Yeah.
And it skied great. And it does, as with anything, you can boost its directional performance, take away from its park performance just by shifting the mount point around a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good. Full stamp of approval.
Yeah, that's a good stamp.
Yeah, I don't actually physically have a stamp. We should make one.
I know.
Start stamping skis.
Yeah.
You know how like at trade shows people have their stickers? Like
Like their personal stickers?
no, like free skier will go around
Oh,
and
yeah,
be
yeah.
like gold medal
Yeah.
award. We should physically get a stamp and just start walking
Yeah.
around.
I'm into it.
It's just Ski Essentials stamp of approval.
Yep.
And it'll literally just say that.
Yep. All right. It's next week's project.
Get a stamp and do it in permanent ink.
Yeah. Tattoo on the ski,
Just
basically.
ruining their sample
Yeah.
skis for the rest of the season. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, I could just stand here and talk about this ski for the rest of the day, but I'm not going to. We'll let people just ask us questions.
As they do.
Yeah. So please ask us questions. Let me know what you think of this new ski, if you've skied it or just heard about it, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
We're gonna go that way. Thank you.
It's pretty good.
I
Just
bet.
careful by the water.
Yeah.
was sweet.
Yeah.
We got lucky.
I picked up speed because there's a gap.
Yeah,
I tried to make it.
I thought you did. I was right behind you. I think I did.
I did. I just sank it.
Okay. Woo. That's pretty good, huh?
That's not bad.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to give you a hard time about the stump. I was just joking.